the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is another edition of JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jeremiah Jensen, Alex Curie, Hans Olsen sitting with us at the booth here at JCW's. We picked, I asked him, I said, hey, can you get the smallest booth possible? Because I want to sit. I want us to, is there a human-shaped shoehorn that we could get me on this seat on?
Do you know what word I would use to describe this booth right now?
What is it?
Intimate.
Oh, and that's what you want to hear from a radio show with a bunch of dudes.
This is an intimate setting to discuss.
Oh, here we go.
Utah Jazz basketball.
Hey, I want you to slow it down.
I'd describe it as sweaty.
Sweaty. Yeah. No, this pleather, you're going to be sticking to it at the end of this thing.
Yeah.
JJ did call me and asked me to shave my arms. So that
just so it could really stick
when
together.
I cozy up to them, I've got nice, smooth, silky
Don't
arms.
you love kids, too? I have a 4-year-old, and they just tell you the truth, and there you go. You're sweaty and gross. And I'm like, thank you. You just touched my arm one time.
Get used to it.
I know you
the
can't.
Insults get worse.
Listen. You can't. I know now. It's the teenagers yelling stuff at me.
Yeah.
On the way out the door.
I have no self-esteem.
Now the kids take shots at your income. They're like, so you can't even give me an iPhone because Billy has an iPhone? Well, you don't make enough money to get us all iPhones?
Oh, I hear it all the time. And I'm like, you have no idea.
I make decent money.
I'm like your great-grandparents.
$30,000, $40,000. I make decent.
You are? Hold on, Nate. We got to talk about
I'm just doing this for the food.
We're all discussing it. Like, I got 12 wings. That's what I got out of it.
Well,
wait, by the way, speaking of kids.
Yeah.
I was just over here doing a little bit of math. Speaking of kids.
Yeah.
There are 6 players on this team that will contribute that are younger than my oldest.
Wow. Oh, boy, that makes you feel bad, doesn't it?
It makes me
that's
feel
a gut
bad.
punch. Yeah.
And it also makes me think the team's going to be bad. But here we go. Keontae George, 20 years old. Taylor Hendricks, 20 years old. Bryce Sensabaugh, 20 years old. Isaiah Collier, 20 years old. Kyle Filipowski, 20 years old. Cody Williams, 19.
Yeah.
And Walker Kessler, just about the same age as my oldest.
Wow, that's bad.
He's got her by about a month and a half.
Look at that.
And they're all going to be in the rotation.
And they're all in the rotation.
Yeah.
Isn't Kyle Filipowski dating like a 38-year-old, though? That's nice.
Oh, are we going to get into that?
I don't know how deep we want to go to that. But
it's a round table. Anything's on the table.
I know Mr. Entertainment just stepped up to put the mic on. Maybe that's something he wants to dive into.
Oh, we got to turn up DJ here. Here we go. Oh, there we go.
We're going to turn you on, DJ.
I wasn't going to even show up, even though I was scheduled. But once I heard it was intimate, and there was pleather, I'm in.
All right.
Where are those smooth forearms, Hans?
Food all shaved, ready for you.
Cozy up. Now, you're going full almost Gordy Chiesa here with some of your notebooks here.
Oh,
and your notes.
I'm always notes guy.
You got a list?
I always write down stupid
Just
notes.
like Gordy? What happened with the Jazz in
Just like
1996.
Well, Gordy's book was so thick.
Massive. Yeah.
For 2 years, we did it every Thursday with Gordy.
He's got a lot of lists.
And he's like, let me say something. Hands. Okay. David. Okay. And he opened it up. Hans, you listening?
Oh, very much, yes.
Oh, very much.
Oh, very much, yes. And
he's going to be good. Very much.
Okay,
yes.
and what exactly is the footage off the three-point line from the corner?
And you're like, 26 and a
I'm
quarter.
Like, gosh, dang it, man.
I can't remember.
One time he asked me to name 5 capitals of the United.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I was like, Boise and Salt Lake, that I can give that to you.
And even then I have to think, is Boise, is that the capital? Okay, all right. Well, welcome David James, DJ in the booth here with us as well here at JCW's. It's our basketball roundtable talking all Jazz here. It's all brought to you by G2G Bars, all natural ingredients and no preservatives. Make the G2G bar the perfect protein bar. All right, let's jump in here. There's a lot going on here. Very first thoughts as we get into, I want to know what you're thinking walking into the Delta Center, DJ, tomorrow night. The Grizzlies are in town. It's still the smell of hockey in the air because we would have been less than 24 hours removed from a game happening.
Which is, by the way, the smell of beer.
The smell of hockey.
Sweat and beer.
I smell a shoey.
Yeah. Oh, gross.
Hockey locker rooms have a very distinctive odor that we will not discuss on the air.
Thank you.
Because people want to eat between now and 9 o'clock tonight.
Oh,
well, we are at a food establishment, too, speaking quite loud.
Oh, yeah.
So your thoughts going into this one, you walk into the Delta Center, what are you expecting to see with this team?
The first of the 60 losses the Jazz have never had in a season. They are one of the few teams that has never done that at 60-loss season in the NBA. But I think this year,
You really think
So
it?
you're saying there's a chance?
Are you really thinking it?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're going to lose a lot of games.
But 60?
I don't know that they're going to lose 60 because other teams will try to lose games at the end of the year, and it is impossible to predict how many you can win in the last 20 years if your guys are trying.
Well,
they're going to lose a lot.
They're going
to
lose a lot.
50? Absolutely.
Okay,
they're going to lose 50.
The Spurs
question.
last year
60.
with Wembanyama, guess what their record was?
What was it?
22-60.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna throw in a caveat.
Yeah.
The only way you get to 60 losses is if you make some changes at the trade deadline, which I do think they're going to do.
Or if a guy I believe I just heard referred to as an all-star level player only plays, say, 47 games instead of the 57 he normally plays.
Hence, how many of those guys with those ages did you just read off that are going to be in the rotation? That's how you lose 60 games.
Yeah,
and to
seven of
PK's point about MPs, which I was listening on the way down, how many of the guys who are 19 years old are in the 25 to 30-minute category?
They will be by the end of the year if they're not. Yeah. I mean, they'll be heavy rotation.
I think to your point, 60 is not a lock. It isn't.
Did
but
you hear
it's
me go,
on the
did
table.
Did you hear me
it's
go
on
through the
table.
ages?
Well, I know, no, but I mean,
how many are 20?
So
5?
you've got 5 20-year-olds. Mm-hmm. You've got one 19-year-old, and then you got Kessler, who's wandering into that 23, year old age, and it's like,
and his third year.
But these are all contributors.
Now, how many of the 240 minutes a game that David Locke loves to talk about did those guys get combined?
Exactly. I know that's
Are
his
they
number.
80 minutes? Are they 100? Are they 120?
That's the math we'll have to take a look at. You go through summer league and you look at some of the preseason and you can start to build numbers. But based off of what you're talking about and what I'm more concerned about than anything in the season, I'm not concerned about wins and losses. I'm concerned about draft positioning because you still control your 2025 inside 10. So you just got to make sure that you don't convey because you want to keep that pick.
Oh, let's not.
And you've got
let's
two
be
others.
Let's be a little more aggressive than 5, 6, or 7.
No.
Shall we?
Oh no, I'm
4.
all. Hold on.
3.
No, hold on.
I have to hear how strong the draft class is the rest of the year.
If you were going to do that though, you would have done it with Wembanyama. If this organization had any intentions of tanking for anybody, they would have done it with Wembanyama.
They overperformed that year.
Flag is great.
A, they overperformed, and B, they were more concerned about holding on to a couple veterans until their asking price was met than they were getting Wembanyama.
I get it,
and
but
now
you remember the projections on Wembanyama.
I do.
When he stepped into the organization, they were instantly worth $500 million more than they were when he was without him.
That's what the Spurs valuation went up? Wow.
So you can't tell me that, okay, well, all of a sudden Cooper Flagg makes a bigger difference than Wembanyama would have.
But they've already parted with a bunch of veterans. If they don't play Markkanen and put Clarkson and Collins in that category, if they don't play with them, or to your point, trade deadline, if they've moved Collins and or Clarkson, then Cooper Flagg, and you still got to be lucky. I mean, you can't just be bad. You have to be lucky. You still got to be lucky.
Well,
the question you asked in a 4:00 hour, and I'm probably screwing up your rundown.
No,
Sorry.
I don't really. This is
what
all
does
loose.
What does a good year look like? A year that ends up with Cooper Flagg on the roster.
Yes.
That's what a good year looks like.
And there's 4 or 5 other elite players in that draft. They're not
okay,
Cooper Flagg, but
I'm a little more
they're
with
really,
hands.
really good.
I'm a little more with hands here. Their prospects are that good, but when you look at all of the best drafts in NBA history, and we had Jeff Judkins on once. He goes, "You guys are forgetting the 1970 draft." Okay, before my time.
Jeez, Jeff.
But when you go back, you can look and just see Hall of Famers, All Stars. I mean, I didn't watch those guys play, but you can read and say, yeah, those guys are awesome. And the 84 draft, and you go to the 2003 draft, and whatever other draft you loved, there are still guys in the top 5 who missed.
Well, and
there's no doubt about it.
So they're not all going to pay off.
But let me also say this: if you go back through history, how many teams who had the number 1 overall pick won a championship with that player on their roster?
It's not happening a lot.
Right.
It's not as
That's
much
also
as you
not
think.
a guarantee.
Right.
So they didn't. So the
But it's also-
Trailblazers didn't win with Sam Bowie. Then is that what you're saying?
He was the second pick, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
The Rockets did win with Hakeem. So
Now-
Greg Odom is where you want to go.
Oh yeah,
So that's a number 1 pick.
that's another one.
Yeah.
But
His
to
knees
your
rest.
point, Oklahoma City didn't win with the number 2 pick, Kevin Durant.
correct.
Well, I guess the Sonics didn't win with Kevin Durant, and then Oklahoma City didn't win with Kevin
And the other thing is the Boncaros of the world don't end up with they don't end up with the Golden State Warriors. Your number 1 overalls end up at a place that it's going to take some time, and typically they burn out or trade out.
And then
or
they leave or they get
move out.
traded
Yeah.
by the time it's first or second contract. Look, Shaq drafted by Orlando. Did he win a title with the Magic? No. He won
close.
it with the Lakers. He won it with the Heat.
See, I feel like the Utah Jazz
You
could
go
be the
through
most
the history of the
first.
number one overall picks that have been superstars. They didn't, other than LeBron
Who
and
had
Kyrie,
who had to leave and come
who
back.
left and came back.
Right.
They
Yeah.
didn't win titles with the team that picked them
To
number
your point,
one
they
overall.
had 2 number ones to get it done. When they only had
Right.
one number one, they lost in the final.
Yes.
What were the Pistons last year? They were the
were
So
bad.
I've got it right
They
here.
were-
They were
they were
14 and 68. So 5 teams had 60 or more losses. So in order we're talking bottom 5 of the league. Are the Jazz bottom 5 of the league this year? If they are, they're definitely a candidate to lose 60
Maybe.
games.
We actually went through this.
They're not.
There's 8 teams at the bottom that could play for the bottom 5 spots, and really it comes down to how hard do they work at it and how early in the season do they decide to work at it.
Right. Okay. So to your point, DJ, they're not a 60-loss team, but they can manufacture.
There you go.
Now,
Right.
now the question is, do they want to? Are they willing to do that? And in the past, they have shown that they're not willing to do that.
Do you
But
remember
maybe
that?
this year is different.
Do you remember that
But
was
why?
Because they're realizing they're not going to make, well, it's unlikely that they are going to make the, to go big game hunting. There, I said it.
Right.
Was it 28
I mean,
in a row? Was it 28 in a row that the Pistons lost at one point last year?
Yes.
It was the record for
Right.
all the Big
Yes.
Four. So 28 in a row that they lost. I'm looking at this. But in that 68 loss season, got them the number 5 pick in the draft.
Right.
And the year
You gotta
before
be
they
lucky.
had, and
Yeah.
the year before they had 60
The
losses.
Hawks
Same thing.
almost made the play. They were in the play-in, and they won the lottery. Wrong year to do it, but you're right.
It just seems hard to even.
You're
have
not
the conversation.
guaranteed anything by getting the number one overall pick. You're not guaranteed anything by being in the bottom 4. So
Okay, I'm gonna bring up another issue.
Okay.
This is another problem I have.
this is why it's frustrating right now to be a Jazz fan. 'cause
Oh,
you're like,
I'm-
okay, where are we at here?
I'm beyond frustrated.
but
Hold on. I'm
go
going to
ahead.
tell you why. This is why it's getting really frustrating to me. I just talked about you've got 5 20-year-olds, you got a 19-year-old, you got a 23-year-old. You've got these impressionable young kids. And what, you're going to teach them to lose? You're going to teach them that we're going to bench them, that we're going to lose?
How about your third-year head coach who is sick of having to babysit those
Now, they've
losses,
extended
too?
him out, and they're not worried about that. I think with
He
them,
signed
they're
up
just
for
like,
this.
Yeah, they're like.
He signed up for this.
They're
That's
like,
fair.
You are
It
being
sucks, but he
gotta
signed
be-
up
that's
for
what I was
it.
gonna say.
You
It's
are being
gotta be
paid to lose, and you're going to have to lose. But I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what you do to these young guys. Keontae George, if he wins 15 this year, it hurts him.
Yeah.
And it affects the psyche. If Taylor Hendricks wins 15, he's going to be thinking, geez, I'm on the block anyways. I mean, my minutes are down to 18. I don't know if they even like me. I don't feel like I'm a fit. Maybe I'm going to be moved around. This starts to hurt guys like Sensabaugh. It gets to guys like Isaiah Collier, who in college they get all this success, and then they come into the NBA and they're telling them,
Okay.
hey, by the way, Larry Markkanen's going to be sitting for the next 24 games.
All
It
right.
just doesn't, you know
Now-
what I'm saying? It doesn't equate. That is a bad sign to send to your young guys that you're trying to teach how to be champions.
So now I feel like I have to zig when everyone zags. I have to play the PQ role here, and I'm the one who threw the 60-loss grenade out on the table and dove on it like
Yeah.
it was a BYU football broadcast. You have all these notes, and then you're in the booth, and I see the clip on social
Oh,
media.
dude,
he
I've-
dove on it like it was a grenade.
I've always got the notes.
I know you do. I know you do. So the best case scenario for the Jazz is that this year is painful, but they get lucky. Whether they have the worst record or the third worst record or the 7th worst record, but the ping pong balls favor them. They get the 1 pick. They get Cooper Flagg, and the right kind of player becomes available, and they do get to go big game hunting.
Yeah.
And then you have Markkanen in his prime. Whoever they get big game hunting, presumably, ideally, they would get someone in their mid-20s. And then, as long as we're dreaming up the dream scenario,
Right, sure.
and they have someone young like Cooper Flagg, and they still have all these assets stacked up in the future. That is if that is where they are 1 year from today, I can endure whatever the next 82 games.
Did you basically just describe the Oklahoma City Thunder?
because they hit on SGA
say-
and they had the number
And
2
Chet
pick
Holmgren worked out
with the
pretty
Chet
well,
Holmgren.
despite the
They
first
had to
year
wait a
missing
year
with an injury.
They had to wait a year, but nonetheless,
Jalen Williams was a great find in the
Sam-
draft.
and then Sam
there you
Presti.
go.
Boom, you're ready to go.
I don't know that they had a market, and so it's a little different. But to your bigger point, the
they
turnaround accelerates quickly because you hit on a trade with a young guy and you hit on a really high draft pick.
When did they have Chris Paul?
Oh,
They remember they moved Chris
Well,
Paul?
that goes to
It was kind of like that 1 year rental deal with the trade.
right, but that goes to Hans' point is if the guys lose year after year after year after year, at what point does it break them? They lose the expectation of winning. You get a point guard in, which was the reason they started 10-3 2 years ago. They didn't move their point guard quickly enough.
Yeah.
And he helped them win a bunch of games. Right. So they
you weren't going to lose with Conley at point guard.
No, not a chance.
Not as much as you wanted / needed
not to be in the bottom five.
So that actually brings up the interesting point. So who does this team bring in to be a mentor? Well, Patty Mills.
They have
Patty Mills, who they know will lose games.
Patty Mills, Jordan Clarkson,
but a guy that they know walks walks the line.
Also Collins.
But Patty Mills is not going to cause. He's not going to cause you to win too many games.
He might not even play that much.
But you see why they brought Patty.
Yeah, 100%.
Now that makes sense because it's like, okay, it's a guy that I know you can help bring my young guys up.
Will Hardy knows really well.
Pull them aside on a 20-game losing streak and say, hey, you understand what the bigger picture is. Just work on your craft. Make sure you're ready. Because
you answered your own question because that's a champion.
Yeah.
An NBA champion that can tell these guys what it was like to win a championship. This is what Pop did. This is how Tim Duncan became one of the best. This is what Manu did to become the best. Tony Parker.
He'll say what the coach says, but it sounds different coming from a player.
Yes.
It sounds different coming from a player who's been that successful. And he will be on message because he and the coach go back to San Antonio and already have a relationship, and they already know they're on the same page.
Okay, so we talk about you got to stay inside the 10. It's top 10 predicted, or you convey your own pick. So you only control your destiny inside the top 10.
Next year?
That's 2025.
Stay inside the 5.
That's 2025. The other two picks you've got, Cleveland and Minnesota. Any chance either one of them?
No.
Barring massive injuries, they're good teams.
No, those are teams that are going to be
massive injuries,
mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
So our basketball roundtable, by the way, brought to you this hour by the folks at the incredible selection of Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram. It's the Doug Smith family of dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork. And we also want to say thanks to the folks at JCW's. We're streaming this thing live. I'm pointing at the camera that's pointed toward me. That's DJ and I on this one. And then you guys are
on this one.
You guys over here. Put us in boxes, Nate. Is that something we could do? Put me on
Look
there.
at him dropping TV terminology.
Let's go. Let's get this thing going. Okay, there you go. So here's what we're doing. We're having a party here at JCW's. We're going to be talking about all these things that we just got into. You come on, you're messing up. Nate keeps having to get up and reframe us like every 2 seconds.
DJ's been doing
now
TV
the autofocus is all
years.
messed up.
Stay on your mark.
I wasn't aware there were cameras. I'm no longer making eye contact. Me and the camera.
It's just like, hey, everybody, it's me.
I knew you'd be offended by that.
It's me, David James. Okay, we're gonna take the break here. We've got more to go around the corner. We'll come back. And by the way, I want to ask this question. I'll throw this out there. I'll kind of pre-ask it so you can start thinking about it. What do we get out of Keontae George in year 2? A lot of these other guys too, but he's the guy who made significant progress last year, played a lot more minutes than the other 2 younger guys on the roster that were drafted last year. So let's jump in when we come back about what you expect out of Keontae George in year 2, and if that's going to be something that gets you to those extra losses in the name of development.
According to DJ, it's just DNPs.
Okay,
that's
bunch of
not for him. That's
DMPs and MPs. All right, we'll come back. It is our basketball roundtable right here live at JCW's in South Jordan. Come hang out, grab some food, and come listen to us talk about the Jazz and much more. So stay with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
You know what's coming. Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz. It's time! All season long and even in the off season. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Basketball, give me the ball because I'm gonna dunk it!
It's been a learning process this whole summer. I've definitely accepted it, and I'm definitely taking it to an extreme level as far as being locked in on what Will wants and also being that medium as far as what the players are saying as well. Now we can all come together as one. At the end of the day, we all have, a common denominator, which is winning. So if I can be, that extra voice for Will, that voice for Lowry, I think we'll be in great shape if I can take that jump, like I said, and put us in positions to win.
You think it was ironic that while he was saying he wanted to be the voice for some of those guys on the team, Keontae George's voice cracked? Speaking of youth, I'm going to be a voice for this team.
Little
and you're
Peter
like,
Brady then.
Who?
Old school.
It just shows you that.
Yeah.
When it's time to change.
You got to rearrange.
You bunch of people that grew up watching the Brady Bunch.
Hey, if you had on the bingo board that that it was going to be DJ and JJ who were going to sing instead of PK earlier in the show. You won.
Hey, you never know what you're going to get
Absolutely.
here on 97.5.
If you're on the wheel of fortune there with who's going to sing, put Hans Olsen in there.
Right.
One of the first times I ever did a show with him, he broke out
Really?
in the song.
Yeah.
That's pretty rare.
Neil Diamond hits me in the heart.
Oh,
There it is.
Or show tunes.
Neil's
You
got a
love your
time
show
for
tunes.
Yeah, I do love my show tunes.
So
Oklahoma when the wind.
I was Judd in our.
Man, I love that
I
song.
was
much.
Judd in our high school musical of Oklahoma. Poor Judd is
Oh,
dead.
my gosh.
Poor Judd.
There's a
is
bright
dead.
golden haze in the meadow.
Oh yeah,
There's
I'm
a
sorry,
bright
JJ,
golden
I had no idea.
haze in
No.
the meadow.
I had no idea.
Well,
a
the
bad
corn
thing.
is
I did.
as
It's my
high
bad.
as
A very, very
the
bad thing.
hillside.
I'll own it. I'll raise my hand.
You know what our boss loves? All of this. You know
Yeah,
what?
right.
Yeah, hey, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for.
Nate's giving it 2 big thumbs down.
Hey, we were just
We
before
just have a clown that came out here with a hook.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Pulling
Our
us off
producer's
the
upset
stage.
about it too. Hey, no, but
76
listen.
trombones.
We ended up going down this road during the break. DJ and I were looking at just the. I don't know if you can't qualify it as durability, I guess, but because I think that there have been seasons that Larry Markkinen has been used in a totally different way. But Larry Markkinen's games played over his career, the most games he ever played was in his rookie season, 17-18, when he played 68 games. Then you have 52, 50, 51, 61. Those are all very, very low numbers.
It's just an odd stat because you don't think of Larry Markkinen being an injury-plagued
Right.
NBA player, but
you would think
good.
about
he
him
has
being a
not
guy-
played in 82-game seasons.
Second most games he's ever played was that All-Star season. 66 games that year and then 55 last year.
Lowry's a stud. I wish that the Jazz had Lowry in a season where they were competitive because I absolutely love him. I just don't know how long he's going to be able to stick around and be happy with the Utah Jazz. I know they're taking care of him, but how long does he stick around? Hey, I want to throw this question at you guys because now DJ comes in and he throws the 60 grenade on the table.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay, which team is better? This current team, as we've watched now through the preseason, or what was kind of mid-season Jazz last year? John Collins, Larry Markkinen, Simone Fontecchio, Colin Sexton, Chris Dunn, Kelly Olynyk, Walker Kessler, Jordan Clarkson, Ochai Agbaji, and Keontae George. Because that's a 51-win team or a 51-loss team.
Yeah.
And that team
Better
has-
name
that
value.
team's much better.
Better name value.
That team would beat this team.
No doubt.
I mean, I get that some of the guys have to play each other, so we can't.
And
but
we're not talking
prove
about what's the
that.
rotation,
But there were some guys
who's
in
getting
there.
what minutes.
Right.
But yeah, on
There were
paper,
But there's
that
some real
team's
dogs
better.
in there, too. Like, Chris Dunn ended up being
Yeah.
awful.
Uh-huh.
And Simone Fontecchio overperformed, and then they're all, you're gone.
Yeah,
like immediately.
moved him out.
Kelly Olynyk made winning plays.
He was always a
That
problem
was
for
literally
wins.
you took
Yeah.
the phrase out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk made winning
He was
plays.
always a problem for
Right.
wins, so
And
he's out of there.
Dunn had games when his feet were set that he hit shots. He's in the league for a reason, you know. He is.
He used his stint with the Jazz to get a contract with the Clippers.
Yeah.
He revitalized his NBA career.
I would not downgrade him as much as you did.
Yeah.
I don't want to oversell him either. But
There were
Yeah,
games where
he's
you're
a
like,
good,
"What's
solid
going on?"
backup point guard in the NBA.
The effort was like bleh sometimes. I think
Yeah.
that's why it was.
Everything
kind of
was
a
weird
bummer.
with the Jazz last year, especially at the end.
Okay, so, but I think part of that is that there are guys on this list that we're going to be watching this year. I don't know how far along Bryce Sensabaugh is going to be now. He was, he and Taylor Hendricks, like everybody's going, all right, let's see these guys make it happen, because I think everyone's been impressed by Keontae George so far. However, Bryce Sensabaugh and Taylor Hendricks have yet to deliver on. There have been like little flashes, little things that we've liked about him, and frankly, we saw better Bryce Sensabaugh than we saw Taylor Hendricks, I think, at times last year. But now, what's that going to be? This version of Kyle Filipowski, Isaiah Collier.
I like
really
him.
love Isaiah
Oh,
Collier.
yeah.
And Cody Williams has got the.
I actually
probably,
like all three of these.
Yeah,
draft
and I
picks.
think who was it?
But-
Was it Jake that said the highest ceiling is?
But hey,
what?
Taylor
I get why you
Hendricks.
like all three draft picks, but Collier doesn't shoot it well, and he's going to be defended as if he can't shoot it well. So how will he either improve his shooting or learn to be effective despite his limited shooting
Because
capabilities?
his biggest strength is driving to the hoop, and that's not as easy in the NBA as it was in high school and college where he dominated.
Right.
Well, until you see Donovan Mitchell do it as a rookie, and you're like, wait a second, he wasn't supposed to be able to do
know.
that.
But Donovan could shoot.
Donovan could shoot when he came in, and Donovan also became a much better shooter. He added, he didn't have the step back dribbling into it. First off, shooting the three off the dribble, and then dribbling into a step back three. Those are things he added after he was already in the league. But before you can add that, you have to shoot the three. Donovan can shoot the three. For Collier, I think that's a work in progress.
Let's play this game, too. We were talking about what lineup would be better. What teams, if the Jazz, this year, looking at the teams that you're basically vying for to have more losses than, or at least to kind of be in that conversation.
San Antonio.
You start with the Brooklyn Nets.
The Jazz are better than the Brooklyn Nets, okay. The Portland Trailblazers, feel pretty confident about saying that.
Probably, yeah. And probably the Wizards.
The Spurs you already threw out, right?
Let's stay in the West first.
So, guys, you're already out of the top 5.
I think there's only one team the Jazz are better than in the West.
Well, the only reason we bring up the East and West is because that's who you're in the lottery with, right? I mean,
it will be all combined, but I can't jump. My brain, I can't jump back and forth between conferences.
I know when you said Wizards, DJ was like,
yeah, I did. I locked up.
I don't like it. Aneurysm. I don't like it.
So Spurs, Blazers, Jazz. We'll see how bad the Clippers are. They've moved Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard's already on the shelf. What if Kawhi Leonard doesn't play this year? The Clippers just decide it's a lost year.
Are the Grizzlies back to winning 40 games this year?
Yes.
Okay.
They'll at least win 35.
Right.
Right. So that moves them out.
As long as Jaw doesn't get a hold of a gun.
Oh, boy.
Waving a gun.
That got awkward.
Waving a gun in an Instagram.
That stopped the conversation.
It really did.
But think about how stupid the guy is. He's made dumb decisions.
He can't be your leader. And right now he's your leader.
So in the West,
him and Dylan Brooks,
they're still going to win 35
They got rid of
games.
Dylan Brooks. Never mind.
So in the West, is there a team between who were in the playoff kind of discussion last year? When you think about the West, you had.
Are you looking for a team that's going to drop off?
I'm looking for somebody who's going to drop off.
I don't think there is anybody.
Because
it's going to be a war to try to get in the playoffs in the West.
Do the Warriors stay? But the Warriors were dead last. I mean, dead last of the teams that got in.
I want to throw one thing at you.
Uh-huh.
If the Lakers are really going to try this father-son thing, Anthony Davis isn't going to stay healthy. And if they're going to try the father-son thing,
they'll fall off?
They're going to fall off.
For sure.
But they're not going to fall off down to 25 wins.
They'll be in the play-in mix like they have been the last 3 years.
They'll be in the play-in. They'll be in a
unless
LeBron, instead of being 7, they'll be maybe that 9-10.
If LeBron and AD both get hurt early,
that's a different conversation.
Then it's a different conversation.
The Rockets are trending
up. They won 41 last year.
I know.
How much does LeBron even have left, honestly? How much does LeBron have left?
Well, he was the best player on the court during the Olympics in the last quarter of the biggest games.
He's a freak. There's just nothing like
He's a freak, but watch
freaks
fall off fast.
He's the Tom Brady of the NBA.
He will win.
He is
and
elite in his 40s.
What happened when it went for Tom?
He will win.
It was over.
Right, but that was at 45.
There is
44.
a chance to fall off the table. It's coming at some point, the cliff.
If you take the miles on LeBron James' legs,
I agree with you.
He's been playing at this level since he was like 16.
But I don't know if it's this year.
He's going to win close games for them.
Yeah. Who's his?
However many close games they have.
If we're going to make the Tom Brady analogy, so who's his Buccaneers? The Utah Jazz. He can come to the Jazz for 1 year, bring a title. Let's go.
JJ taking the word out. Not the words, the word.
Stop. Don't do it. Well, if you're going to, because at some point the Lakers are going to be like, we can't do this anymore. So he'll end up going, to some.
Well, he just signed an extension, right?
He signed an extension. I don't
perfect
know
for when they. Perfect for when they.
Move.
He's got a home
when
there.
They have
his son's on the team. He's not going anywhere.
You know how this is going to go. He's going to play He's going to play all the way up until the first year of the Vegas franchise, where he will go.
That's the best news the Jazz and everybody in the West could have got is they extended LeBron because they're not going to move off of LeBron. It's going to be like the Kobe thing.
They're going to be stuck in the middle of it.
It's
Kobe. It is Kobe.
That's why I think
it's
he's
Kobe.
It's
Dirk Nowitzki. Honestly, it's Stockton and Malone at the end with the Jazz.
Exactly.
I think the Lakers come down. They might not be in the plan, but they might be that 9-10. In that plan.
Yeah, maybe the Kings, maybe it doesn't work out with the Kings, but
but they're not going to fall off that much.
I don't know that DeRozan makes a big difference for them.
So really you're talking about
the playoffs last year.
For sure you feel good about the Spurs and
There's 3 in the bottom.
And the Trailblazers being worse than the Jazz maybe
the Clippers.
And maybe the Clippers.
Maybe.
James Harden may shoot themselves all the way back down to the bottom of the standings. You're very
now,
right.
in the East, though, you have extraordinarily bad teams like the Pistons and the Wizards.
I did see the Nets. The odds on the Nets is 18.5 wins.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so Vegas assumes that the Nets are going to be horrific.
Pistons, Wizards, the Hornets, do they get – they were a 21
never count the Hornets out.
Year.
Never count the Hornets.
The Hornets perpetually suck, so they're going to be there.
Jordan
that's
moved
4
them,
teams
so
just in the East.
Change,
but that's 4 teams just in the
East. The
East.
Raptors could be bad as well.
I think there's legit –
Then that's 5 teams in the East.
There's legit 8 bad teams who don't look like they plan to be – C-.
Right.
By the way, really quick, because
even D+.
Because you brought them up, and I was looking at them the other day. Okay, so this is the Brooklyn Nets. Dennis Schroeder, Cam Thomas, Cameron Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Nick Claxton.
That's a bad team.
Their bench, Ben Simmons, Bojan Bogdanovic. That's their bench.
It's a bad team. That's a team designed for the lottery.
Dorian Finney-Smith was like, remember when I was this close? I was on that Mavericks team, and
nobody's going to outnet the Nets.
No.
So they have the lowest odds then, I'm assuming, for this year. Or are the Pistons worse in terms of Vegas odds?
No, the Nets. The Nets are by far the worst.
18. So the Jazz are 28.5 is what Vegas has for their wins.
I think it's a great number. I think that's dead on.
Okay.
I think if the Jazz can muster up 57 losses, I think that's a pretty healthy loss.
57 losses would put them in last year.
57-25 would have put them right
probably
around
about the
sixth.
So you take the under. What was it? What was the number? 28.5. You said
28.5.
Take the under.
I take the under.
Okay.
I think they can get to 25. I think 25 and 57 is their base.
The Grizzlies last year were 27 and 55. If we're looking at the Vegas for the number for the Jazz, that's the range.
And where was Toronto? They were
25 wins.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So that's the Jazz depth for me right there.
Okay. That's as far down.
That's as
so
far
how do they
down
get
as
to,
that
so
would
how do
put
they
you
get
at
to
the sixth worst last
So
year.
now hold on a minute, DJ. How do they get to 60 then? How do they get to 60 losses when there are so many other teams that are just absolutely worse than? I mean, so much worse.
Trade Clarkson, benchmarking it. We're just
that
about
will
there.
help.
We're just about there, and make sure those 20-year-olds are playing 20-plus minutes. That's probably the biggest
six
part
or more 20-year-olds playing in your rotation.
Yeah,
it will naturally happen.
So we've already been told that's what they're going to do because they're like, hey, this is all about
this
is all about the young guys' growth.
So
and by that I mean we're going to be playing 25
it.
minutes apiece.
They're not hiding it. Then you get to the point: can fans stomach this, and for how long?
No, they can't. And here's the difference. Now you've got another professional league in the business. That ticket's already skyrocketing. They're winning right now.
Yep.
They just beat the Boston Bruins. I'm expecting them to get a win tonight. And
Ottawa.
that team is going to go and grab attention. They're a young group, but they've already built a lot of their talent. Connor Ingram is an up-and-coming star in the net.
They did 3 or 4 years of their rebuild down in Phoenix.
Yes.
Nobody here suffered through it.
Right.
They're trending towards either playoffs or close
I know, but
to
what
it.
the question is how long will Jazz fans stomach?
But it doesn't help.
And what I'm saying is you've got another product in town that –
But there's almost 3.5 million people here. The Saturday night, the Utes were at home. The Utah Hockey Club was at home. RSL was at home. All three sold out. It was about 90,000 people. And I don't think there were any $12 tickets in the mix at any of those three games.
Right.
People were paying real money to go to those games. 90,000 people paying $50, $100, $200, $500.
we're in a great sports market, man.
Oh,
That's a
it's
fact.
only getting
One of the,
better.
it might be the hottest sports
only
market
getting
in the
better.
country.
It is.
As far as growth and potential.
Pound
for
for
growth.
pound, as
There you
Bowler
go.
would say.
Per capita.
Yeah.
I can't wait for more seats to show up in the hockey arena, and then I could maybe get some tickets for my kids to go to these
You
games.
can't even whiff a ticket.
Well,
you can't get a whiff of a ticket.
They're $80. They're $80 to be obscured.
the
in
obstructed
the very, very
seats are
Yeah.
moving, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
And
crazy.
the thing is, they're going to raise that floor at some point here over 3 years. I don't know what happens each year, but I guess over 3 summers, they're going to fix something else,
Yeah.
and then they'll have the final deal. But along the way, at some point, those obstructed seats that are currently getting
Become
sold are
unobstructed.
going to be unobstructed, and they're just going to be hotter
They're
tickets.
going to be hotter ticket. I mean, you try to go
And that
on
team is gonna
opening
be a
night with our
contender
media
during those
badge,
years.
and they will usher you into the bathroom, and they're like, "There's a TV
Right.
here in the bathroom."
I just, I did. I just walked around in circles on the
That's all you
concourse
could
and
do.
Snuck in.
That's all you could do
Sneak in, go take a peek. and
with a
then
media badge,
Let a nice usher let you hang out for a little bit longer than you should.
which I totally get it, because if you're going and spending a couple $1 billion, you want to make that money back somehow.
No, for sure. Now listen, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We want to make it a little bit easier on you, though, and that means we have some tickets to give away right now, actually, for tomorrow night's matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies, who are coming to town. Jazz Grizzlies, home opener at Delta Center tomorrow night, October 23rd. Let me give you the phone number. It's 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-9663. 801-575-ZONE. If you're calling number 12, we'll hook you up on a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. So let's do it. More to go right around the corner. We've got tons still jumping. I still haven't asked about what the next version of Keontae George is going to be. The next version of Bryce Sensabaugh, Taylor Hendricks. How about even Walker Kessler? We'll jump into that and much more. It's our Basketball Roundtable live from JCW's right here in South Jordan. You can stream us online live as well, KSLSports.com. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I love working with these guys, and I'm totally bought in. And if we want to win a championship, we're going to have to do it our way. And I think we will. I'm 100% confident of that.
Utah Jazz owner, Utah Hockey Club owner, the head of SEG, Smith Entertainment Group, Ryan Smith. You heard that. Plus, there's a quote that was floating around from, I think, a couple weeks ago when he said, it may have been with you guys on your show when he talked about being the rest of the NBA believes that the Jazz are in a good spot. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I feel like the rest of the NBA is, one, not paying attention to what's going on in Utah because it's easy to forget. You read off the roster from last year and we were like, oh, man, this team kind of struggled. Yeah. It wasn't a very good team. And you see the names on here this year and you go, oh, they might have actually they might beat this team from this year. So the other people in the NBA believing the Jazz are, quote, in a good spot, what does that even mean? What is he talking about? Just their cap space?
A lot of draft picks and the
assets.
cap space and the long-term ability to make moves.
Guys like Will Hardy.
Other teams are capped out and are looking at, we're going to have to go down before we go back up. The Jazz have already gone down, and they're in a spot with bonus picks. Some of these teams that are going down don't have a way to acquire the picks and the pick swaps because they don't have that much talent on their roster. They got overpriced guys who are late in their career that they're not going to get real value for. In some cases, teams may just have to wait for contracts to expire. 9 first-round picks in the next 3 years, if that doesn't convey next year.
Right.
2007, you got 4. You got 2 in 2006.
It's not conveying.
There's
they will make sure.
There's no way, and you know what?
I can't guarantee you that they will intentionally make sure they lose 60 games.
However,
they might do it. I think it's in play. I can't guarantee it. I will guarantee you they do not convey that pick.
I'm going to take you one step further. Now I'll go to 2026.
They worked hard to make sure they didn't convey last year.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Now let's go to 2026. Now it's 1 through 8. So if it's 8 or below, then the Utah Jazz get to keep it, and then it expires. And the deal's off. OKC loses the pick.
That's an even harder prospect.
I do know people who have worked in the NBA for a long time who think that Jazz fans should brace themselves for 5 years. And they don't necessarily take any
I think that's realistic.
in saying that. That's realistic.
That's why I asked the question in the last segment. How long can Jazz fans stomach this? Because that requires a lot of patience.
If you don't get lucky and get the number 1 pick, even if you have a bad team, you only have 14% chance.
What draft's not going to make you a contender?
But they'd have to hold on to Lowry, hit on a draft pick, and do the big game hunting trade.
Right.
That really
speeds
up. That really speeds up but it could happen.
Hey,
they
Jazz
could also
fans, you can get your tickets now.
They could not.
UtahJazz.com.
2030 Jazz. It's fantastic.
Well, the good news is it's a local owner who isn't going to run out of money.
That's right.
So
and we've got a hockey diversion while we wait.
And the league's TV contract is going to be huge. So even owners whose pockets aren't as deep as Ryan are going to be getting so much money guaranteed.
Yeah.
The percentage of their overall revenue that is coming from tickets is going down because the network TV money is exploding.
Oh, there's no doubt. The financial part the Jazz are not concerned about at all.
Right.
It's just it's
hard.
The relationship you have with your fans. Do they care?
They got the biggest cheerleader in town with Ryan Smith, and when your biggest cheerleader is asking you to cheer on a product that's not great right now, that's hard. Now, Bill Armstrong has come on probably all of our shows at this point, and I think people have asked him a million times, like, okay, where's this team at? And he's saying bags like crazy. He's like, give us 3 or 4 years and we'll put you in the playoffs. And it's like, okay, hold on a minute. Like, people want him. But he's also been on the record to say they're in year 4 of a rebuild. Where are the Jazz in a rebuild if you were to put a year on it? Are they not there yet?
No, if it's 5 years now, you start to look at, well, how long on the road is Danny Ainge? How long will he stick around and manage this? Like, is his goal, it's like, When I hit, then we hit and we'll make the run, and then I'm out. Because Danny Ainge isn't getting any younger.
He doesn't want to do it 5 more years.
No.
6 or
and
7
Danny's
more years.
mere presence gives you confidence that it's going to end positively because he's done it multiple times.
Take Danny
before.
out of that office, and how do you feel right now?
Then the
Not
rest of
as
the
good.
NBA
No.
doesn't believe as much. Right. That's what the rest of the NBA.
But Ainge's whole deal was not to work from sunrise to sundown 7 days a week.
Right. We know who's doing the heavy lifting.
Right. So I don't know. Well, I don't know that Danny Ainge is going to do this for 15 years until he's 80. Like Pat Riley isn't going away.
Right.
Somebody Google Pat Riley's age. How old is Riley now?
He's pushing 80.
In my brain, he's still mid-60s, but
Right.
he's not. He's
His hair is
pushing
still
80.
the exact
Yeah.
same
He's
as it was
82.
20 years ago.
He's 79 years old.
79 years old. Right. So I also don't know that Ainge is gone in 5 years. I mean, could be. He could just decide, hey, I've had it. You know, it's personal. It's like with Kyle Whittingham. It's a personal decision. Your health.
Or he might have told
your
Ryan,
family's health.
I'm going to see this through.
Right.
But you're right. Justin Zanuck, I just want to throw this out there.
Zanuck's the one
this
who's
is a
working
plug for me.
Yeah.
Justin Zanuck, in my opinion, is one of the most brilliant minds in the NBA.
Yeah.
I have felt that before he left and then eventually came back. I've always felt like Justin Zanuck is the most capable mind. It's just at what point do they hand it to him and say, all right, it's yours.
It's being handed.
Yeah, but that's not what I've been told.
Right,
It's not
but
the
also
same
the
thing.
brand looks like Danny Ainge runs this show, and Justin Zanuck, he's a very, very capable number 2. That's what
I've
kind
been
of
told
branding
is
feels like.
when you're in the room and everybody's talking, everybody shuts up when Danny Ainge talks.
I believe that.
That's what
I
I've been
believe
told. That he is the voice, the final voice, the only
I
answer.
believe that. I love that phrase. He's the final voice.
He's the
I
final
totally
voice.
believe that. But there's a lot of work that leads up to him making a decision. So Justin has a lot of input.
Justin
love
does a
Zanuck.
lot of work.
Although, if Ainge says, Justin, this is what we're going to do, then that's what
you're
they're
gonna
going to do.
Look, when DJ showed up and dropped the 60-loss bomb at the very front end of the show, best thing that could have happened to us. At the same time, it was a very grumpy hour. Like I went the other direction on the fan self-esteem.
Hey, well,
situation
what did the
here.
great Karl Malone say? Losing suck.
Losing suck. It's not fun. That's exactly right. All right, fellas, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining us today.
Anytime.
Always awesome. By the way, just want to make sure and throw it in there. We've got a couple things going on. One, we've got a Taco Tuesday right now, today. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to give the phone number out. Call number 12-801-575-ZONE. Gets a $20 gift card to Cafe Rio to get those tacos for Taco Tuesday. So let's go. 801-575-ZONE. And we'll get to it. Also, by the way, I want to throw a plug in there we haven't been talking much football today, and we've got a ton of football tomorrow, by the way.
Yes.
But our basketball roundtable has made it to where we don't talk that much about it. But if you want to get something in between, when all these shows are talking about basketball and when we're getting going on this thing, First and 12 is on 10 to noon every Sunday morning on KSL News Radio and on the KSL Sports Zone. It's all brought to you by the folks at Macy's Grocery Store, the freshest fruits and vegetables from local farms and your local favorite brands. Macy's, happy shopping. We will take the break here. We'll come back to our basketball roundtable at JCW's here in South Jordan. More to go. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.